right, so today we're going to talk about something in response to a gentleman who had a comment on one of the videos that we made, and it was about him leaving the automotive world because automotive mechanics don't make jack car mechanics. And I told him I was going to make a video because I thought so much about this one subject. So when I first left the Marine Corps, I took a job working at a Goodyear in Florida, Jacksonville, and I saw that the lead tech there's usually only one of them in the shop. That guy's going to make 75,000. Everybody else is going to be on hind teat, so to speak. So they're going to make, anywhere from 20 to 40 maybe, but probably nowhere close to what that senior tech's making. Now, he's not going to teach you anything that I'm teaching you because he doesn't want you to take his spot because he knows that job security is what keeps him in that $75,000. He can make more at even Goodyear. So that was the kind of issue I saw, is that there seemed like there was a lot of undue competition against guys. There wasn't a lot of team effort. You'll find that if you work for a fleet, there's a total team effort there to keep the equipment going, and everybody pitches in, and that's kind of the camaraderie there is nice. The fleet techs don't make squat though, and so the only time you're going to make money as a mechanic is if you bill out a lot of hours. So I know we keep talking about this, but that's a fact, guys. I mean, I wish it was the size of your box that determined how much money you made, or when you saved the day for the guys that had all put hours on the job and no one fixed it and people are still scratching their ass. Those things that you do will not save you. They won't help you make money. A lot of mechanics, I'm going to go into this, but I might offend some people. So a lot of mechanics that I've met have a common denominator, is that they had hard fathers to prove any stuff to. They didn't. They're constantly trying to prove themselves in a lot of ways. Now that's not a bad thing. It's just it's a makeup of that kind of character. Often mechanics are misunderstood, that we take advantage. But if you spent your time in an effort to learn something, anybody, a plumber, I mean, there are people who charge more for a haircut than we do as an hourly rate. And so, I mean, when you get into that and you think about all that you've done and all the tools you've spent, you think, who am I going anywhere? All right. So if you're in automotive, I'm going to tell you, it's going to be a 10% of all the automotive mechanics that are probably going to make money. And they're only going to make about, 65, 75 maybe. Still the same, almost 20 years later. However, industrial equipment, and especially, there's a lot of money to be made on like job sites, and especially underground, those kinds of jobs where it's high demand. Got to get that piece of equipment going. All right. Another thing that you might want to think about too is the industrial world of boats and boat engines. Those are very highly sought after people. You have to know your trade, guys, and you have to know the ins and outs. And the only way you can do that is by spending the time that you have in these places that maybe you're not happy with, learning as much as you can. Print the schematics, keep them with you. Don't be afraid to start building up a library of doing what you do well and using that library as the reference information that you might not have available someday. Say you chose to leave. So you're only as good as the information you have available, and if you always leave that to the books, and you don't want to retain it, then you can't really leave. That's the problem, guys, is that they know they've got us over a barrel, so to speak. When I say they, I mean the people who own these dealerships and businesses. They all do really well and drive really nice trucks with really big boats. And I don't know any mechanic that went to work for one of these places and ended up with any of those things without his wife working just as hard as he was. My wife's a stay-at-home mom. I got a bunch of kids, 6 still in the house, and there's a lot of responsibilities I have too, that taking the time to do this is because I know that you're only as good as your information. So I know this stuff. I know a process of elimination, not process of elimination, but process of troubleshooting that allows you to go into employment on your own and do these kinds of things. And I don't mind sharing that with you. I want people to do well. But the truth is, you're not going to do well working on cars unless one of two things. If you work a flat rate shop and you are a guy who has no issue with taking advantage of people, you can make a lot of money as an automotive mechanic. If you move into an industrial world, it's not based on how much you have to scam the customer out of as far as flat rate dollars. You know, you're billing out 180 hours in a month and you've only done 160 hours of work. Who paid for that 20? The customer did, but you didn't really work it. Neither did the business. The business didn't absorb that cost either in the overhead. So they're just burning through all these hours saying they did work. And a lot of times it's not good work because they have to get that flat rate dollar. They won't even take time to help another technician. There's some mistakes that a lot of people make inside of shops. When somebody comes and asks you to punch in on your ticket, you look at them and say, listen, I'd love to. How can I help? But I need to punch in on this RO or this work order, and I need to make sure my time gets accounted for with the service writer to make sure that, you know, because I got time to make too, bro, and I don't mind helping, but it shouldn't be at my cost. And if you can't understand that, then tell them piss off. Because these people, I had a guy tell me once, his name was Chris at Peterbilt, told me slow down. And I looked at him, I told him to shut his effing mouth. Because I got all these people at home who need me to work really hard to afford for the life that I want to make for them. And I know there's so many people out there too. Don't let people hamstring you because their work ethic is crap. Don't take lunch with them. Don't be their friends. You don't have to be their friends. You're there to bill out 8 hours a day of labor. And in the end, if you keep this focus, you will be able to go to that boss and say, listen, I bill out my 160 hours every single month. And you bill that out as a $200 hour, $100 hour, whatever the labor rate is, right? I'm getting a shit deal here and I want a better deal. And I believe that if I don't get that deal, I'm going to be forced to make some decisions. And you know what that means to him? Oh, this guy must be of value if he's standing up for himself in such a manner. This guy must have the confidence to really stand up here and tell me. Well, let's look at it. Every time I've ever gone in and asked for a review, I said, what do I need to do to make more money? Not, you know, and you need reviews. You need to go in there and ask. You need one on paper so that when you go and ask for that next couple dollar raise, not pennies, but dollar raises. I made $10 more in a year and a half at Freightliner. But every single night I was training. Every single night. I'm kind of a determined soul, but, you know, I did everything I could to bridge the gap as fast as possible. I told you I was raising group homes. Nobody ever did me no damn favors. I've made it my own way. But I don't feel like anybody really makes it or wins alone. There's a story, and I'll leave you with this. There's a bunch of people at the Special Olympics one year, and they're all at the starting line, and the gun goes off, and they all start running. And one of the guys falls, and everyone stops, locks arms, and walks in together. I would rather that we all walk in together to some kind of success than I try to gatekeep my information or sell you a course or do something that requires me taking advantage. I've got some links here on the videos. If you want to use those links, that helps me. That makes me continue to be able to do this without the stress of, what am I going to do for me and mine? So if we can contribute to each other, I think it's going to work famous. And I am here for you. I'm in your corner, and I'm on your team. All right. Thank you for your time.